So the next two kits I'm going to show you are the ruffled geranium kit and the planter kit and the botanical white geranium kit. Now, geraniums are one of those plants to me that sort of are like the epitome of kind of summer. They've got like that herbal scent that I personally love, and they are so hard to kill. They are so easy to look after. Like if you're after a plant that you can, you know, neglect, this is the one for you. I neglect mine, if I'm honest, and they still come back for more. They are so good and so easy to look after. So definitely recommend a geranium if you are not so great on your houseplant upkeep. So we have two kits for the geranium. So we have this beautiful planter. We had this in spring and it sold out really quickly. And then I've waited and waited and waited because I wanted to wait for the right plant to put in it. And so I had it planned for the geranium for this month. And they arrived and they're just gorgeous. I love them. So with the planter, the geranium actually is the same size that you get, but it will probably be in a bigger pot size, but it will grow into your planter. So this I've potted on from one this size. Now this is looking dishevelled because I want to show you how to deadhead and take off the yellowing leaves. So that's why that one looks a bit sad. But this came from this. It's just a few weeks worth of growth. It's really sunny in the studio, so I've just had it on a windowsill, and it's just sort of thrived. So your plant will probably be more like this size, and then you can just enjoy watching it grow, rather than me get all the benefit and then send you one this size. Although I probably will, if you're having a planter, it probably will be in a pot this size. I probably will pot them on for you, just because it's something I quite enjoy doing. So, but if not, it will be in this, and it will just grow to this within, depending on the weather, within a sort of a few weeks. And then you can enjoy all the buds opening at home rather than me enjoy them here. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. That was a long-winded story. So, this is a really easy plant to grow indoors. Now you can keep them outdoors, that's absolutely fine. They do fine outdoors, but I always think it's nice when you have a plant that enjoys being indoors, and then you can enjoy it sort of on a day-to-day basis. You don't have to wait until, you know, those weekends where you're sat outside in the garden, but you can put them in either indoors or outdoors. It will also last, if it's looked after, years. So I had mine until recently. It's actually now in the home of Lydia Millen, because she had it in her hallway. It was just a perfect spot for it because mine had got huge. It was 2 years old and it was all kind of beautiful and kind of almost trailing. So we popped that in her hall when I did the spring install in her house. So I'm now starting again with one sort of this size. But yeah, they will last you for years if you semi look after them. You don't even need to be that sort of attentive. Okay, so let's put them up. So, sorry, I'm out of breath from waffling on too long. So you'll also have the botanical white geranium kit. That comes in this beautiful 12cm Simona pot. Yeah, just one of our best sellers, so that's a lovely one. So that's a small kit, and then I'm going to plant up the big planter. It's exactly the same, and the care is exactly the same as well, which I'll go through with you in a moment. So we'll start with the gravel. So add in all the gravel that's in your kit into your pot. Pop your pot on the saucer before you start, because there's obviously a drainage hole. So yeah, the gravel is purely just for drainage, so that the roots aren't sat in water for a prolonged period of time. And I'm just going to add in probably a handful or two of compost. And you'll find your compost has a really decent amount of horticultural grit. It's got all the good stuff. It's really good quality compost to give your plants sort of the best start. So that adds to the drainage of the draining, because they don't actually like to be wet, really at all. They don't mind drying out basically, as you can see from this one, because I've not watered it. So this is quite dry. I'm just going to gently sort of tease the roots a little bit and then just pop him in. Gently push down on the compost, in the soil and the plant, and then I'm just going to add in more soil around the edges of the plant. Gently sort of push that down. And that is as easy as it gets, really. And now we can add in the moss on top. So in your kit, you'll have two different types of moss. You'll have your flat moss and your bun moss. So your bun moss is sort of the chunkier one. I'm just going to pop that on top of the compost. And then sort of dot around the flat moss as well, just to add some nice texture with the two different mosses. And the mosses just sort of dry out if they're not already dry. The flat moss is actually dry, this one. Sometimes it comes a bit damp, sometimes it's dry, but it's much the same. Okay, so that's potted up. In terms of looking after your geranium, I water mine probably once a week, so it doesn't need to be sort of little and often. Again, it's one of those plants, much like I've told you about the olive and the lavender. They are sort of more of a drench plant, and then they like to be left alone. And then when they're dry, sort of you stick your finger in the compost, it feels dry about a centimetre or two at the top, it's due a watering. Or if it tells you, it will kind of go a bit sort of floppy if it's in need of a drink, and in which case give it a drink. But it doesn't need a lot of water in terms of little and often. It's definitely a one hit, nice drenching, and then leave it for a while. So that's the watering. In terms of position in the home, it does like sun, but again, it's not massively fussy. See how you go. If you put it somewhere and it starts to look a little bit unhappy, you might want to put it somewhere a bit brighter. Mine is on my kitchen windowsill, northwest facing, not massively sunny, but bright enough, but it's not south facing, and it's doing really well, and it did do well before my previous plant, which I gave away, so I had that for 2 years. So a bright position if possible. Windowsill is perfect, or like a sunny breakfast table. I mean, for this in my head, imagine that on a lovely wooden breakfast table or an island in a kitchen. Just looks stunning. In terms of sort of keeping your geraniums sort of healthy and looking after them, I'll show you now how to do that. So it is completely normal for geraniums to get sort of yellowing on their sort of leaves around the base of the plant. You can simply, gently, being careful of kind of any activity that's going on in the plant near the base, like new stems or buds or anything. You just simply snap off the leaf. So easy, smells amazing. So yeah, the yellowing of the leaves is normal. They just like to be taken off, and then it looks healthy again. Okay. Now this one needs a dead head. Again, that's completely normal for your petals to go brown. That's just what happens. It's just the turnover of the plant. And as you can see, there are so many buds on this beautiful geranium. They're all going to grow and create these beautiful flowers. So when they're brown, if you can see other buds that are yet to open, we're not going to take it down, at the base of the stem, and then that's all gone. We're going to sort of just take off the brown petals. So you're just sort of going to pinch the brown flowers off. And then what you will be able to see is lots of new buds around the base, and they will then take the place of those brown flowers that you've just pinched off. And that's about it. So then in a sort of a day or so, I would say, you'll get some new beautiful white flowers here. I'm just going to take this leaf off here because it's looking a bit yellow. This one is also looking a bit tired. Take that one off. And now it looks so much healthier just by giving it a bit of TLC. And then that will just continue to grow, continue to bloom. It will go dormant after sort of the summer. I'm trying to remember when mine tends to stop flowering. You're probably looking at kind of just early autumn, it will stop. Don't give up on it, just keep it green. It will still look beautiful in its pot. Yeah, just keep watering it, drenching it, and then leaving it, keeping an eye on how dry the soil feels. And then next spring, you'll notice these buds coming back again. So yeah, hopefully you'll get a lot of time out of your geranium. So that is your, kind of, I'm not going to do that because it looks awful. Here we go, let's do this. That is your botanical white geranium kits and your ruffled white geranium plant kits.